You are about to hear something that will change how you see attraction completely. There is a belief most men hold that could not be more wrong. You think attraction is fixed. You think it is either there or it is not. A woman looks at you on day one and decides yes or no, and that decision stays locked forever. This is the lie that keeps millions of men feeling helpless. But psychology and real human behavior tell us the opposite. Attraction is not a switch. It is a frequency, and frequencies can be tuned. The reason you are here listening to this is because you have felt the weight of rejection before, or you have watched a woman pull away, or you have seen a man step into a room and somehow shift the entire energy of her attention. And you wondered if it was about looks or money or youth or something you simply could not access. None of those things are true, and that was never your fault. Nobody teaches men how this actually works.
Not in school, not from fathers, not anywhere in the culture that matters. So you learned wrong. We all did. But what comes next is going to show you the mechanism behind how a woman can go from indifferent to deeply drawn to you, no matter where you are starting from. Stay with me through the next section, because the difference between a woman who finds reasons to text you and a woman who forgets you exist comes down to three invisible layers that most men never even look for. Neuroscientists at MIT did research on what happens in a woman's brain when she encounters a man who embodies a specific presence. They were not looking at attraction in the obvious sense. They were measuring what happens during micro moments of genuine acknowledgement. And what they found was that when a man demonstrates what they call executive presence, her neural pathways literally shift. Oxytocin increases. Her threat detection systems relax. The part of her brain that decides whether she can trust you starts to move. This is not magic. This is biology. And it takes nothing you do not already have. Here is what most men get wrong. They think making a woman want you is about saying the right thing or doing the right gesture. But what they are missing is far more fundamental. Desire in a woman is not built through performance. It is built through a quality she can feel in you before you even speak. That quality is presence, not confidence in the loud sense, not the guy in the room everyone is watching. I mean the quiet gravity of a man who is completely inhabited in his own body. When you walk into a space and you are not seeking approval or attention, something in her nervous system recognizes that. She has learned to sense the difference between a man who is comfortable with himself and a man who is performing comfort. And the moment she feels that real presence, something shifts. It is not gratuitous. It is not about tricks or manipulation.
This is how human beings actually respond to authenticity. Imagine this. You are at a dinner party. A woman sits across from you. She has not decided about you yet. She is friendly but distant. You are telling a story. Most men here would rush through it, needing her to laugh, needing confirmation that they are doing well. They would watch her face the entire time, adjusting tone, speeding up, looking for her approval. She would feel that hunger for her reaction, and something in her would go quiet. But then a different man tells the same story. He is present with it. He is not performing it for her. He is present with the moment, with the people around him, with himself. He pauses when the moment calls for it. He has no need for her to laugh at a certain point. He is anchored in his own dignity. And in that moment, before he even finishes, something in her shifts. She sits up slightly. Her face opens.
In that single dinner party story, his presence has communicated something to her that most men spend years trying to say with compliments and grand gestures. It has communicated, I am not asking you to complete me. I do not need you to feel whole. I am already whole, and I am choosing to share that space with you. That is real power. That is real magnetism. The first layer of making a woman desire you has nothing to do with what you do. It has to do with the field you create by being fully inside your own life. Research in something called attachment theory shows us that women are drawn to men who have what psychologists call secure attachment. That does not mean you have everything figured out. It means you are not looking to her to figure you out. You have friends you invest in. You have work or purpose that matters. You have interests that absorb you. You have a life that exists completely independently of her. When a man walks into the room like he already has everything he needs and is simply choosing to share his time with her, something in her brain reads that as safety, not arrogance, safety. Because a man with a full life is not dangerous. He cannot hurt her by leaving because she was never his only anchor point. That is what presence actually means. But here is where it gets subtle. A woman once told me this in a conversation we had years ago. She said, "Most men want me to be their missing piece. They are so hungry for validation that I can feel their need before they even ask for anything. And it makes me feel heavy. It makes me want to leave. But when a man walks in and he is clearly whole, when I can see he has a life that is not about me, suddenly I am free to actually enjoy being near him. I can think of him romantically because I am not busy trying to be enough for him." That woman was describing the exact psychological principle at work. She had freedom because he was not demanding her to be anything but herself. The second layer is even more invisible. It is what a woman feels from the quality of your attention when you are with her. This is important. A man with presence does not give bad attention. He does not give distracted attention. He does not give attention that is constantly scanning for signs that he is winning. He gives what attachment researchers call attuned attention. That means when she speaks, you are actually there, not waiting for your turn to talk, not thinking about what you will say next, not checking your phone or looking over her shoulder. You are actually there, and she feels that. That quality of being fully met in conversation is something most women have not experienced from men in her life. It is rarer than you think. When a man is truly present with her, not needing anything from her except the pleasure of understanding her, she starts to feel safe with him. And safety is the foundation of desire. A woman cannot desire a man she does not trust. This brings us to the third layer, which is about how you handle vulnerability. And this is where most men completely miss the mark. They think showing vulnerability means complaining to her, or dumping emotional weight on her, or asking her to fix parts of you. It does not. Real vulnerability in a man means admitting what you feel without needing her to change it or fix it. It means being honest about your experience without making her responsible for it. Therapists who work with couples have noted something consistent across decades of practice. The men who create the deepest desire in women are not the ones who never struggle. They are the men who struggle and remain grounded. They admit fear. They admit confusion. They admit that they do not know something, but they do it from a place of groundedness, not collapse. That communicates something profound to her. It says, "I am strong enough to feel everything and still be okay." And when a woman feels that a man can hold his own emotional weight, she can actually relax around him. She can be vulnerable with him because he is not secretly needing her to be his safe place. Imagine this moment. You are with a woman and she asks you something vulnerable. Most men here panic. They either deflect with humor or they suddenly become the listener, asking her questions about herself to shift away from being asked. Or they answer truthfully, but in a way that makes her his emotional support. But a man with real presence does something different. She asks, "Do you ever feel insecure about how you look?" And he does not say, "No, I never do." That would be a lie. And he does not say, "Yeah, I hate how I look," and then she becomes his therapist. He says something like, "I used to more than I do now. I have learned that how I treat people and how I show up matters far more to me than whether my face is exactly the right shape. I still notice it sometimes, but it does not control me." In that response, he has been honest. He has taken responsibility for his own experience. He has not made her his healing place, and she feels the difference. That is when real attraction deepens. A woman in her early 50s told me something I have not forgotten. She said, "The most attractive thing about my partner is not that he never gets scared. It is that he gets scared and he does not fall apart. He says what is real and then he figures it out. Most men expect me to fix them or reassure them endlessly. He just tells me what is going on with him and then he moves forward. It is attractive because it means I can trust him. I do not have to be his mother. I can be his partner." That is the entire game right there. The moment she stops feeling like she has to be your mother or your therapist or your missing piece, she becomes available to desire you. Now let me tell you about the fourth layer, because this is where a lot of quality men get stuck. They have presence, they have their own life, they are emotionally regulated, but they do not understand how to create what psychologists call secure desire. That means they are not creating tiny moments that remind her why she is choosing to be near you. Most men think that once a woman is interested, they can coast. That is when she pulls away. A woman in her late 40s told me she left a partner who fit everything on paper. He was stable, he had his own interests, he was emotionally mature. But he became so certain that I was already his that he stopped creating any reason for me to stay. He stopped paying attention. He stopped noticing things about me. He just assumed I would be there. And I realized I was not actually choosing him anymore. I was just present by inertia. That teaching changed everything for me about how real connection works. Because what she was describing is something something researchers call lack of repair. In a relationship, there are constant micro moments where you are either tending to her or taking her for granted. When you see her, do you actually see her? Or do you just register that she is there? When she tells you something about her day, are you listening to understand her experience, or are you half listening? When she does something that matters, however small, do you acknowledge it? That constant tending is what keeps desire alive. It sounds small, it sounds like nothing. But neurologically, it is everything. Because her brain is constantly reading the signal, does this man see me? Does he choose me? Or am I just the person who is always here? Here is what that looks like in practice. You send her a message referencing something she said days ago that mattered to her. You notice she changed something about her space, and you mention it specifically. You ask her questions about her day that show you actually remember her life and actually want to know what happened. You notice when she looks beautiful that day, and you tell her in a way that lands. Not in a needy way, but in a way that feels like a fact you are sharing. These are not grand gestures. They are the smallest moments. But they communicate something every day. They communicate, I see you, I remember you, I am choosing to give you my attention. And that constant choosing is what transforms initial attraction into lasting desire. One more layer matters here, and it is one most men will never understand. It is about emotional polarity. This is not about manipulating her into a role. This is about understanding that men and women tend to move in different energetic directions. And that difference creates what psychologists call generative tension. It is the opposite of boring. When a man is grounded and steady and she is more intuitive and flowing, something in that dynamic creates attraction. It is not about him being hard and her being soft. It is about him having a quality of direction and decision and her having a quality of receiving and responding. This works because she does not have to be like him to feel safe with him. She can fully be a woman in the feminine dimension of her personality because he is solidly being a man. That piece of being fully herself around him is deeply attractive. She does not have to be strong for him. She does not have to direct him. She can actually soften. And softening is the state in which desire happens. This is not about gender stereotypes or old ideas. This is about understanding what neurologically makes a woman feel safe and desired simultaneously. When a man is clear about what he wants, when he is not waiting for her permission to have preferences, when he is not performing uncertainty, something in her can actually relax. She does not have to guess what he is thinking. She does not have to manage his emotions. He is managing himself. And from that place of being managed, she can actually choose him freely. Most women did not say they wanted a man to be uncertain. They wanted a man who was certain and who chose them anyway. That is the difference that changes everything. I want to tell you something crucial here because this is where most men misunderstand. This is not about manipulation or games or turning women into something they are not. This is about understanding the psychology of human connection and bringing your best self to that connection. When a man shows up as genuinely present, when he has his own life, when he is emotionally regulated, when he notices her and chooses her actively, when he is not afraid to be a man with direction and clarity, something real happens. None of this works without genuine care for the person in front of you. If your intention is to extract something from her, to win her, to make her yours, all of this falls apart. Women sense the difference between genuine presence and calculated presence. They sense the difference between being chosen and being hunted. And that discernment is their most powerful tool against manipulation. If your intention is honest, if you actually care about her experience and her peace and her growth, then these layers become not tricks, but simply the truth of what makes a real human connection. You show up as a man with his own life because you respect yourself. You give her your genuine presence because you are interested in her. You stay emotionally regulated because you are not trying to hurt her with your instability. You notice her and choose her consistently because you are not taking her for granted. You move from a place of clarity and direction because you respect your own life and therefore you respect hers. When all of that is rooted in actual care and honesty, it stops being about strategy and becomes about integrity. And that is when women feel something they almost never feel anymore. They feel safe and seen and genuinely desired by a man who is already complete. Most men will never take the time to understand any of this. They will keep thinking it is about appearance or youth or money or saying the right line. They will wonder why women pull away from them. They will feel powerless. But you are here. You are listening. That tells me something about you. It tells me you are willing to look deeper. You are willing to understand that real magnetism is about presence, not performance. You are willing to become the kind of man who creates desire not through tricks, but through genuine integrity and attention. attraction. That is not easy. It requires looking at yourself honestly. It requires building a life you actually respect. It requires learning to be emotionally present instead of emotionally hungry. But it is doable. And every man who has done this work has found that the women who matter most start to move toward him instead of away. What you do with this matters. You can hear all of this and think it sounds good and then go back to doing what you have always done. Or you can actually become the man who gets this. You can start today. Notice one moment where you are not fully present and choose to be present. Build one area of your life that is not about women, that is about you. Have one conversation where you are genuinely interested in her experience instead of evaluating how you are doing. Notice one thing about her that usually goes unnoticed and tell her specifically. Make one small choice that shows her she matters. That is how you move from where you are now to becoming the kind of man women actually choose. This is the path. This is real. The next video we are releasing goes even deeper into what happens when a woman tests you, how to read that test correctly, and how to respond in a way that makes her trust you more. That is coming very soon, and it is going to transform how you see some of the most confusing moments in connection.